Good morning, colleagues. Thank you very much for joining us today in this webinar. We will just give a few more minutes for other colleagues to join us, and we can start in 3 minutes. Thank you very much. I think we can start at this point, this stage. So, good morning, good afternoon, dear colleagues. It's my pleasure and our pleasure to welcome you all in this webinar. Today, we will have MENA BTR knowledge exchange, country insight self-assessment check, and best practices. This webinar is organized by the Middle East and North Africa Transparency Network by the CBGSP Capacity Building Initiative for Transparency, the Global Support Program, which is implemented by UNEP and executed by UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center, in collaboration with the UN Climate Change, UNFCCC Secretariat, and RCC MENA in South Asia. So just before presenting the objectives and agenda of this webinar, so we are honored to start with the opening remarks from our distinguished colleagues. And first, I'm very pleased to invite Ms. Tugba Ismaili. She's the team lead at UN Climate Change to deliver the opening remarks on behalf of the UNFCCC Secretariat. Tugba, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for the continued support that you are providing, not only for the MENA region, but all the other networks in terms of transparency. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Kazim, and thank you for the very kind introduction. Actually, it is our pleasure to join this event and to continue providing technical support to countries, especially in the MENA region, as much as we can to the extent possible. And it's a privilege for us. So thank you again for inviting us. And I'm happy to see all the participants here. Good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. So on behalf of the Secretariat, I would like to warmly welcome you all to today's technical webinar on BTR exchange. And I heard there are sessions and presentations on sharing the country insights, and especially from the countries in the region. I think that's a very valuable component of this event. And in my opinion, actually, this webinar comes at a very particularly important moment for the region and for the entire world, actually, because as most of you would have known, as of today, we have received 132 BTRs globally, and more than 80 are from developing countries. So this is quite an achievement and success, in my opinion. And on these BTRs, we have already conducted 82 reviews, and many more are planned. And in addition to that, 12 countries have gone through the facilitative and multilateral sharing of progress. And this brings us to almost a full implementation of the first ETF cycle. And I know in a few weeks, maybe, we will have the chance to see you in person here in Bonn, because during the SPs, the negotiations continue, but we will also have the next FMCP session. And there, actually, I think we will already have the chance to listen to 37 countries. So it is quite an achievement. And in that context, actually, I want to also highlight that the ETF implementation is generating very valuable experience and lessons learned across the region and the world. And sharing this experience helps peer learning, and also particularly helps the countries in the region to anticipate common challenges in implementing the ETF, and is a very good avenue to discuss some solutions with an aim to avoid duplication of efforts and to strengthen the future reporting cycles. I know today there will be presentations on synthesis of information on experience and challenges relating to implementation of the ETF, as well as we will hear about the tools that may help you to conduct some internal quality checks with an aim to improve the consistency within the BTRs. I am very happy to hear that we will also hear from 3 representatives from the region on their experience in preparing the first BTRs. And I note again, this is a very valuable peer learning opportunity. So I will also stay as long as possible, and I will also learn from you. And just a few quick last points. In my opinion, like implementing the ETF, I think we are all aware now, is more than just a mere technical exercise. It is a process of continuous learning, coordination, institution strengthening, as well as improvement over time. So I really kindly encourage you to engage very actively throughout the session, share the experiences openly and lessons learned, and let us use this opportunity to discuss some practical solutions to the common challenges we are all facing. I wish you all a very productive and insightful event, and thank you. Over to you, Kelton.
Thank you very much, Tugba. Thank you very much for these opening remarks and also for highlighting the importance of this kind of events in terms of sharing experience and learning from each other. And now Kitsi will not be able to join. She's already in Swatini and delivering the opening remarks for another in-person event. So now I hand it over to Freya on behalf of UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center.
Yeah, thank you, Keltoum, and thank you, Tugba, for your opening remarks. I actually think you've really covered some of the fundamentals of today's session and what we hope to be getting out of this. So I want to thank everyone for joining. My name is Freya Milford, and on behalf of the UNEP CCC and CBIT GSB, I welcome everyone here today. And I think Tugba obviously summed everything up very well, so I won't provide too much detail in these remarks. But as we all know, especially as we're moving through the BTR1 and BTR2 reporting cycles, these submissions and also the preparation obviously represents a really significant milestone for countries. And in today's webinar, what we really want to do is provide an important space for the practical exchange, as Tugba said, peer exchange, allowing countries to share some real experiences, reflect on common challenges, and highlight solutions and good practices emerging from the first round of BTR preparation and submission, and also looking ahead for BTR2 prep and submission as well this year. So we hope this discussion will not only support ongoing national efforts, but also really help in further establishing regional collaboration through the peer learning between you all, and helping us move forward and be more robust and efficient in our reporting. So we'll be covering a few different sessions today, and there'll, of course, as Tugba said, be some direct sharing from countries, and also some presentations from the UNFCCC and also from myself. So as always, we want these sessions to be as engaging and useful as possible for participants. So please make use of the time that we have here, especially when it comes to asking questions to your fellow colleagues across the region, and also across some of the other experts that we have from the different partners today. And yeah, whether you're raising your hand or submitting your question in the chat, we're really looking forward to hearing from you all and facilitating the conversation today. Back over to you, Keltoum.
Thank you very much, Freya. Thank you for delivering the opening remarks. Also, just let me share my screen one more time to present very briefly the objectives of today and also the agenda. So the session today aimed to provide a space for knowledge exchange among countries in the MENA region, focusing on the preparation and submission of the first BTR, as well as, of course, the lessons learned that can support countries in their first BTR, and also for starting the second one. So more specifically, today's webinar will allow us to hear directly from countries that have already advanced in the BTR process, to better understand the main technical institutional, and also coordination challenges they faced. And they will be also happy to share the good practices they developed. So we will also introduce during this webinar the CBGSP self-assessment tool, which can support countries in reviewing their BTR chapters and checking the completeness and consistency of the information submitted in the BTR. It's a tool that we already used for many countries so far. So this session is also intended to promote peer learning across the region by encouraging open discussion on challenges, solutions, and practical recommendations that can benefit other countries in the MENA region. So please feel free to get engaged in discussion, to ask your questions, to share your experience. So let me now just very briefly walk you through today's agenda. So we already started with the opening remarks. Then we will move to the first session, which will focus on key insights, common challenges, and lessons learned from the preparation of the BTRs, with a specific focus, of course, on the MENA region. This session will be delivered by Mr. Merlin Pillai. He is the program officer at the UNFCCC Secretariat in Bonn. And secondly, we will have a session to introduce the CBGSP self-assessment tool as a practical tool to strengthen BTR drafting and review. And this session will be delivered by Freya Milford. She's project officer in the UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center. And then we will have a short interaction and the Q&A. Following that, we will move to the main parts of this webinar, which is the peer exchange. So we will hear from country insights on BTR preparation challenges and good practices from Jordan, Oman, and Tunisia. And we will be pleased by the interventions from Ms. Ruba Ajour and Ms. Maha Belushi and Ms. Uns Khshin. After the peer exchange, we will, of course, open the floor for discussion and your questions, your interventions. And finally, we will close, as usually, with a short Menti feedback survey and wrap up and closing remarks. And now I would just like to kindly invite everyone to turn on their cameras so we can take a group picture. And right after that, we will give the floor to Merlin for the first session. Okay. It's nice to see you all. Please open your cameras. It's nice to see you, Sibushan, Miss Eva, Maha, Reem, Wafa.
My pleasure.
Fernando also. Just a few seconds so I can take some pictures. This is the first one. Yes, Natalia, Qais, Ons, Leah, Ruba, of course, Dr. Bilal, and Hadil from Jordan. And the third one, okay, here is Nasif, Nasif and Leah. All right, thank you very much, guys. And now I hand this over to Merlin. And Merlin, over to you.
Okay, so thank you very much, and good afternoon or morning to all of you. Thank you for showing your putting up your cameras. I see many familiar faces. So I hope during the sessions, please come and have a chat with Tugba and I as you pass through the SBs or the COP. We're always looking forward to engaging with you. And so today, my presentation is about sharing some of these key insights and challenges and lessons learned from the submission of the first BTRs that was submitted by parties. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my camera off just so that can save some bandwidth, and then share the presentation on the screen with you. So let's proceed. And yeah, so here you go. I have the survey. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Right. So yeah, so for my agenda for today is to share some of the insights, challenges, lessons learned from the submission of the BTRs. I'm going to share with you some of the institutional challenges in the region, some of the an overview from the CG technical paper, and then technical and data challenges in the MENA region, and some lessons learned for the MENA region as well. So firstly, what you will see on your screen is that since BTRs were due latest by 31st December, 132 parties submitted their first BTR, and out of that, around 90 were developing countries, with 11 from the MENA region. And as Tuba mentioned, this is quite an important milestone because it marks an important step forward from the bifurcated system we had under the convention to one system for all parties. And it's also a big step for developing country parties, since the reporting provisions was much more detailed and more specific than what we had under the convention for preparing BURs. But as we've seen from the insights reported by parties, many of them were able to use their experience under the MRV process to help them to transition to ETF reporting. And what we've seen is that that has strengthened their ability to coordinate with other ministries and government departments, to improve the stakeholder engagement that's in place, and also put in place some of the institutional mandates that they need to get the data and to help synthesize that data to meet the reporting requirements. Now, we've also seen that countries have been able to use the flexibility provisions that's contained in our modalities, procedures, and guidelines for the ETF. And this helped the countries address many of the gaps, the data gaps that they have, in order for them to make it possible to submit the BTR 1. Now, preparing that first BTR, parties also identified many of the challenges that is important for them to address. And this led to a number of parties forming quite detailed improvement plans so that they could improve their reporting over time. Now, some other insights as well from parties was that preparing the first BTR helped them improve their technical understanding of the MPGs, as well as some of the ETF reporting tools that um, became available quite late in the process, and then also some of those common reporting tables and common tabular formats that was prepared, that is part of the BTR preparation process. And we have also seen in the MENA region, several parties, they reported some progress in preparing the national GHG inventory, in putting some systems in place to track climate finance, and also to better monitor how the NDC targets have been implemented, and then how progress has been achieved. Now, many countries also said that the peer learning process was quite valuable. The regional workshops and the support, the technical support that was offered from some of the UN organizations, including the constituted body, the consultative group of experts, and our UNFCCC Secretariat, helped them a lot to make sure they could prepare and submit the first BTR, and that participation in the technical expert review and the facilitative multilateral consideration of progress, both those processes help them to gain a better perspective about some of the capacity constraints they face, because they were able to talk to the team of technical experts that's conducting the review about it, as well as about calibrating their understanding of how to apply some of those flexibility provisions in the MPGs, and then also sharing best practices and lessons learned. So as you know, each BTR undergoing a TER process results in a technical expert review report, and those reports are also quite valuable to see what other countries are doing and how they are uh, resolving some of the challenges that they have faced. Now, I'd like to give you a short overview of some of those challenges that parties mentioned. So every year, the CGE publishes a technical paper on the challenges and needs that are reported by developing countries. And as you can see in this bar graph, national GHG inventories is quite substantial in terms of the challenges and needs that are reported. So much revolves around national GHG inventories, and then adaptation, and thereafter mitigation. And you will see this element of cross-cutting as well, that has some big percentages as well. And I'm going to cover this in this next slide. So if you have a look at this slide, this slide shows out of 100%, where are the challenges and needs that are reported by the countries, and you will see cross-cutting. Cross-cutting means not in any of those specific areas of GHG inventories, mitigation, adaptation, or support, but that goes across those areas. So you will see that 56% is on institutional arrangements, and that signifies quite a major challenge in terms of institutional arrangements, or building that institutional arrangements. So let's talk about institutional arrangements a little bit more. So what we found is that many countries, they reported the challenges and needs about institutional arrangements, mainly about the need to enhance what is existing in terms of institutional arrangements, and avoiding some of the overlap in terms of mandates amongst ministries, and then improving some of those coordination issues, because there is some coordination between ministries, energy authorities, statistical agencies to get the data that is needed to prepare the reports. And they identified that if you have weak coordination, you are not able to properly collect that data, validate that data, and make sense of that data. So they also identified that climate reporting responsibilities are often project-based and not embedded in a legal and institutional system. And what happens when it's like this is that you get staffing issues, you get some disruption in institutional continuity, and then you have a limited number of technical experts that are local, and so there's a heavy dependence on the use of international consultants. So resolving the issue of institutional capacity helps then to strengthen the entire reporting process and builds internal and local capacity to report on a sustainable basis. Now, of course, also some regions, especially also the MENA region, some of the guidance that has been prepared has not been available in local languages. So it's it is difficult for some countries to take up some of those guidance to implement the ETF. Now, when we look at some of the more technical challenges that is faced in the MENA region, what we find, like when you look specifically at the different chapters of the BTR, for example, in the GHG inventory preparation, there's a number of challenges around addressing the gaps in activity data. And especially for some of these sectors like energy, waste, agriculture, and land use sectors. And there are some of the regional challenges as well, where the national data systems are not compatible or consistent. The archiving of data and information is not sufficient in place. And then there is some challenges between cooperation with different institutions. And then there is also many countries struggling with some of the processes that are required to produce your GHG inventory. For example, the QA/QC process to check on the data, to check on the calculations, the analysis of uncertainty, and then also applying higher tier IPCC methodologies where you have some emission factors, etc., that can be used. And then also there is some difficulties experienced in using some of this IPCC inventory software, the ETF reporting tools, and the common reporting tables and formats that are available. Now, when we look at adaptation and loss and damage, we know, in the MENA region, there's many countries dealing with quite complex issues, climate issues, water scarcity, desertification, extreme heat, coastal vulnerability. And so it makes it quite complex to monitor adaptation measures in the region, and also to develop indicators as well to do that monitoring. And so that complicates adaptation reporting because you have limited climate risk data and insufficient methodologies adapted to the local situation to track loss and damage. So these challenges then also point to difficulties in quantifying some of the non-economic losses and damages, like the impacts of on livelihoods, ecosystems, health, and cultural heritage as well. And when we look at NDCs, so many MENA countries, they face difficulties establishing standardized indicators and baselines for tracking the progress and or achievement of NDCs. And there is also a need to integrate these NDC targets into national development plans and sectoral strategies so that it becomes part and parcel of the national process and more it can be then monitored better on the national in the national context. Now, there is also some limited technical capacity for emissions modeling and scenario analysis, and that prevents the countries from developing long-term mitigation projections and strategies, mitigation strategies as well, mitigation strategies and plans. And there is also difficulty in tracking the adaptation components. Many developing countries have quite a strong adaptation component in the NDC that they need to track as well. So not having the frameworks and indicators makes it difficult process. And then some countries also are assessing the core benefits of mitigation actions, like the impact on employment, air quality, and public health. And they also face some challenges in using appropriate methodologies to track that as well. Now, when it comes to reporting on support needed and the support received, so many countries lack some sort of centralized system to track the climate finance flows and then the technology transfer that has happened and the capacity building support that is needed and also received. And we also find that there is many countries have a broader development finance, but it's difficult to quantify what are the climate related finance that is part of that and to define that as well. And then we see that there is also limited technical expertise in accounting for the climate finance flows and then using appropriate methodologies as well to collect the data and check the quality of that data. So other issues that the countries experience is the limited engagement from the private sector, which leads to very weak tracking of what private climate finance flows have been available in the country, and this creates, of course, a reporting gap. Because, as you know, with this requirement in this chapter of the BTR, it asks not only to look at the national flows, but local level climate finance flows as well. And several countries, they identified there's a need to build stronger institutional arrangements to be able to report on the support needed and the support received. So finally, let's look at some of the lessons that has been learned that apply to developing countries, and I've just indicated a few that that you in the MENA region you would resonate with. The first was to institutionalize the ETF implementation process in your country. And yeah, um, building these type of institutional arrangements, there is no need to like start from scratch. You can look at what is existing in your process, and also to remember there's no one size fits all. So you can look at what can work for you. So some countries have put in place a dedicated climate change unit that deals with transparency related issues about preparing the inventory, etc. And established, for example, a number of working groups where they have experts working on the technical aspects, and then that goes to other working groups that handle more of the political aspects. So it really depends on what can work in your country for you. Second is to address some of the persistent capacity gaps. And I've identified a few here about emissions modeling, adaptation assessment, developing mitigation scenarios, tracking climate finance. And that can be done through some technical training um, of the staff, and then also with that technical training, how to manage some of the consultants that can be used to do some of the really technical, deep technical aspects of that work. And then also to increase investment in the digital climate data platforms, having a system where you can collect the data in formats that you need, that will enable better reporting. That will be a great advantage to you. And then you can build on that as you submit subsequent BTRs, and then integrating the NDC into your national development and sectoral planning process, and also then strengthening regional cooperation, looking out for more peer-to-peer learning opportunities, and sharing the best practices and lessons learned that can reduce reliance on external consultants as well. And then also participating in some of the processes. So there is a need to simplify and accelerate access to international support. In terms of our negotiations under the SBI, we have one item 5, which looks at financial and technical support and capacity building for reporting under Article 13 of the Paris Agreement. And a number of discussions are happening around this topic of support for the preparation of BTRs and building the capacity so that countries can report on a sustainable basis, subsequent reports. And of course, it's important that the support is addressed because the BTR serve an important purpose in that it is a input to the global stocktake, but it's also important in terms of building trust and confidence in the process to unlock more climate finance that is needed for countries to take climate action. So I encourage you all to, if you have the opportunity, or follow the discussions happening in the negotiations. A number of reports have been prepared as a result of that negotiations. So I am sharing some of this with you. You can see the QR codes on your screen so that you can access them, read through them, learn more, and then see what you can take away and apply. So I think that's it from me. So I hope this was helpful to you. And now I hand back the floor to Ketum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Merlin, for this informative session and also for sharing the insights from the first round of BTR submitted in the MENA region. I think it's we can see that there is some common challenges that the MENA region is sharing with the other regions as well. So now I hand it over to Freya for the second session, and then we can open the floor for the Q&A and interaction for both sessions. Thank you very much, just for the interest of the time. Freya, over to you.
Thanks, Kaltoum. My slides are just loading. Can you see them okay? Kaltoum?
Yes, perfect.
Are they in
Yeah,
the presentation mode?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay then, thank you, Marlon, for your presentation. It was super informative, and like Kaltoum said, after this session there'll be Q&A for any questions about Marlon's presentation and also mine. So we are a little bit over on time, so I'm going to just try and be as condensed as possible. This actually isn't a long presentation at all. What I really wanted to do in this presentation was to talk a little bit about the CBGSB quality assurance reviews, quality assurance checks that we do, and this self-assessment tool that was developed as a part of this, and how it can be used to help countries, some of the main findings and the best practices from this. So in 2024, under the CBGSB project, they established the team working here in Copenhagen and then also across the different transparency networks, established a team of experts to support countries in conducting a preliminary sort of quality assurance check of their draft BTRs before official submission to the UNFCCC. And countries could submit different types of materials to review. They could submit full BTR drafts. Many countries would submit full drafts. Some would submit individual chapters to be looked at, maybe just the inventory or sometimes the NDC tracking chapter, and also the reporting tables that would go along with that, so the CRT tables and the CTF tables. And this process was developed. The CBGSB were already working in, conducting some sort of quality check reviews, but the development of this sort of structure of conducting the review was important for obviously helping to align sort of the quality of submissions before the official submission to the UNFCCC. And it acts in a way that goes through the MPGs in detail, and the experts who would be conducting the review are able to go through the MPGs methodically and assess the content and the quality of the content in the submitted BTRs, submitted chapters, and be able to make comments and suggestions for where maybe information is missing, where there's maybe a lack of detail, and will really help countries in addressing some changes to their BTRs prior to submission. And this is really important, and in a way it kind of acted as a sort of first simulation of not a simulation at all, but a first sort of what it could be like to undergo a technical expert review. As we would provide questions, we would provide feedback and allow countries to make edits and to make improvements to what they currently had prior to the formal submission. So it was a quality assurance sort of element to this. So far, since the tool has been being used by countries and by the team for the BTR specifically, because of course the CBGSB is also reviewing BURs and national communications as well. But since the tool's development in 2024, the Excel tool has really been widely used, as you can see on the map here. The colors in purple show some of the countries who have undergone these using the self-assessment tool. So around 45 countries, over 45 countries, sorry, have been using the tool either to assess full drafts or focus on those specific chapters. And I think it really demonstrates how countries, how the teams working on their BTRs and chapters are really, they're finding that the structure and practical use of this Excel tool can help in actually assessing their reporting for meeting the ETF requirements for their submissions. And it also means that as the team here in UNEP CCC and also across the transparency networks, we've been able to gain some really great insights already in how the tool has been used, and also some of the key findings that we have seen. So overall, the process is very simple, and as you know, as many of you will know, countries can request from the CBGSB to undertake a quality assurance check of their BTR prior to submission. And so what happens is, once that request has been submitted, the team of experts, it's sort of, we don't usually have one person conducting one full review on one whole BTR. There'll usually be a number of experts across different key areas. So maybe you'll have, if it's an NID, you'll have, there'll be an expert on waste reviewing the waste chapter. Maybe an expert will review both the IPPU and energy sector, etc. And so there'll be, between, I guess, 2, maybe up to 5 different people going through the report and the chapters. And they use this Excel, which I will click out of my presentation in a second and show you the Excel. And basically, through going through the long form document which is submitted, you then use the Excel to make different notes as it relates to each MPG, and then there are spaces within the table for countries to make their own comments, also address next steps, etc. So I can just quickly, if I just stop sharing this presentation for a second, and I'm just going to share my screen so that you can see the tool itself. Give me 1 second. So I hope you can see this screen now. So this is the Excel tool itself, and as you can see, we have the different components for the national inventory report, so the different sectors. We've then got the NDC components, adaptation, and then the support needed and received. So I can just go back to energy. So what you can see here is what we've got listed in column B are all the MPG provisions, and this runs through for the whole document. And this is predominantly in step 1 and step 2. This is predominantly where in the QA/QC, in the QA checks that the team do, this is where we'll be working. So we can go through the different MPGs as we're reviewing, and we are able to select whether this MPG provision has been achieved, if it hasn't been done in the report, if it's been partially done, or if it's not applicable, and that just depends on maybe some of the should and may provisions. And so through this, what we're able to do is, where there's elements where the reporting requirement has been met, maybe there aren't any improvements to be made, but say for instance there's an area where we tag this as a no, then what we can do is we can make a comment as to why we believe that this provision hasn't been fully met, and then we can provide recommendations for how to better improve or to better adhere to this MPG provision. Of course, some of them will be sort of quick fixes or lower hanging fruits that can actually be integrated within that submission that you're about to submit. But of course, there can be others which may require, further time and further resources. And in the cases of these, then it actually provides also a bit of information for countries to be able to integrate maybe these elements within their improvement plans as well. And this is where these other elements come in, where countries can further use this Excel to build information on how this can be in the improvement plan and identifying capacity needs related to this specific MPG. And now this goes for all the different areas, as I said, all the way through to the support needed and support received chapter. So let me just go back into my slides. Just give me a second. I think it will just take me a moment to do that. But yeah, the point of obviously this tool and this self-assessment is to really allow countries to reflect on the content of their BTRs and see from the quality assurance team that we have here working on in UNEP CCC and across the transparency networks, to be able to actually using this feedback that's getting how to onboard it and also how to whether it's improving your BTRs for this reporting cycle or the next. I haven't shared.
Presentation.
I know. I'm just finding it, Keltoum. I should be sharing it in a second. It's just taking a bit of time. Thank you, though. So let me just go back to the slides. So what I wanted to quickly just do is show some examples of how it's been used. So for this, for example, this is showing how it was used in the NDC tracking sample. And so what we have here, I hope you can see the screen okay. I'm sure it might be a little bit blurry, but of course, when we send through the slides, it'll be a bit more clear. So we have the provisions, and like we have here for this example, for this country, we have this coverage. So we've got we've got a lot of yeses, but we've got some no's and we've got some partial. And some of the first comments that we have here is, for just adding in information for clarification. This is just overall first comments. And then, of course, you have the further, recommendations where information is needed. And then for the inventory, here's just some examples from some of the inventory as well. We've got a mixture of both mandatory and non-mandatory provisions here, but have, for this first one, for example, it's the MPG relating to, where possible, countries can use surrogate data and extrapolation for maintaining consistency. And what we actually have here was an instance where this hadn't been done, but data interpolation had actually been used for the calculations, but there hadn't been any information on how this interpolation took place. So in this instance, we noted this, and then obviously within our recommendations set out that in order for this to not be flagged in the TER process, and to obviously just improve the overall transparency and clarity of your reports, that we would recommend providing some detail within the methodology to account to show or describe that this interpolation has been used. And this, so overall, in doing this process, the reviewers really assess the completeness of the information provided and then add in recommendations where are needed. And the strength of this approach is that it really creates a consistent framework for actually evaluating the quality of the reports, and actually but allowing space to allow for tailored technical feedback for countries that then countries can use and take away this tool and further use and further use these assessments for their own reports themselves. And so it provides structure and also flexibility to support countries effectively. So after the overall review check by the team is complete, countries receive the outputs. They first receive the MPG checklist, so that self-tool that I just showed there, and then they also received their draft text, so whatever report they submitted, they received that with also the review comments, and then thirdly, they also have an overall summary of the general and technical findings. But of course, the process does not end there. What we then encourage through using this checklist and using this self-assessment tool is to request follow-up meetings to clarify feedback. They can also resubmit data drafts for other reviews, and also use the Excel and note where they've made changes, etc. So it's designed as an iterative and supportive process and not just a one-off assessment. So what we've actually been able to do, and I'll only be quick just on this, just in the interest of time, is because the team has now conducted quite a few different reviews, well, not reviews, quality assurance checks of countries using this process. We've actually been able to look at, through developing two knowledge products, some of the key common gaps and recurring challenges that have been noted or have been sort of seen across the countries. And we focused at the moment on the greenhouse gas inventory and the NDC tracking, and hopefully in due course as well, we'll be able to provide this analysis also on the adaptation and FTC chapters. And this has mainly been done just to be able to pick out some of the key reporting challenges that we've seen and provide some best case examples on how to overcome these within in your BTRs, whether it's your first BTR or BTR2. These are still currently in draft format, but we're hoping to get these finalized sometime this year. So the main findings that we really found were, so on the notation keys, the use of the notation keys, always needs to be justified and explained. We also have on the status of measures, whether they're planned, adopted, and implemented in the NDC chapter. We also found, as it relates to flexibility, that this was a very critical aspect, so that whenever flexibility provisions are used, countries need to obviously be explaining why, and also indicating when they plan to improve reporting and stopping to use flexibility. And that obviously wasn't happening in a lot of cases. And one of the bigger good practices that we saw from this was obviously including a summary paragraph at the end of each chapter outlining all applied flexibility provisions and timelines for improvement. So that is the main findings from just the cross-cutting areas. And then as we move into some more specific to the greenhouse gas inventory and then the NDC tracking. So for the inventory and NDC tracking chapters, there were several recurring themes that were emerging. So this related to methodological tier used for key categories, challenges with time consistency, issues with the selection and definition of NDC tracking indicators. We also saw gaps in how mitigation measures are reported, including measures with co-mitigation benefits. And also a lot of the time we found that projections were often missing or also not aligned into the reporting requirements. So for the tier approach, we found that most countries obviously conducted the key category analysis, but primarily this was being relied on tier 1 methods, even for key categories where higher tier methods are expected. And though obviously this happened a lot, often we found that there was no reasoning provided behind this choice in reports, which sort of left a bit of a gap in understanding. And so as per the MPGs, where higher tier methods can't be applied, countries should explicitly be describing the capacity constraints and explain why the IPCC decision trees couldn't be followed. And there should also, as I said, be a clear plan for timeline and improving methodologies in the future. For the time series consistency, this was another critical area. So as a minimum requirement under flexibility, as we know for the time series, the ideal time series would be from 1990 to 2021 for BTR1, where the submissions were back in 2025. But where the flexibility can be provided, the minimum requirements is for the reference year period of the NDC, of your NDC to be included, and then a consistent time series from at least 2020 onwards, and then the latest inventory year to be 3 years prior to the submission, so the submission of the NIR. And what we found in a lot of cases is that either these provisions, none of these flexibility provisions were maybe used correctly, and also that there were issues across time series in general. Sometimes there were inconsistent time series, sometimes there wasn't a long enough time series, or you weren't meeting the key requirements under these flexibilities. And yeah, there's an example here where a country their NDC base year was 2020, it was 2015, but as you can see here, the first year of their time series is 2018. They also didn't report the IPPU emissions for 2019, even though they reported the emissions in 2018. So this is an inconsistent time series. And since the NRI was submitted in 2021, this was the latest reporting year should have been 2020. So what we basically do with all these, and I won't go into details in all of them, just because again, I am conscious of time, but of course we can send across all these details to you on the slides. What we basically do with all of these examples where we're showing the different key sort of gaps or key areas where there kept being maybe mistakes or lack of information, is we present them and then provide actually again the sort of clear steps and clear recommendations to avoid making these sort of reporting errors within your BTRs. So it goes through all of them. But I can just end there, just because I want to ensure that we stay on time here. But we're hoping for these knowledge products to be finalized hopefully sometime in the summer. So then of course these can be shared with everyone across the region, and they'll be able to be these sort of used as a real clear guide. But overall, I think what I wanted to just highlight through this short presentation, as I know many of you will be either still working on your BTR1s or working on your BTR2s, is to please make use of this self-assessment QA tool that we have developed. I think that it can be a really useful tool in ensuring that actually you are meeting all the required reporting requirements under the MPGs, and also having that quality assurance check of having it reviewed externally by the team here at UNEP CCC and also across the transparency networks, and working together to sort of ensure that there are improvements that can be made to your BTRs before submission, and also looking towards future submission cycles as well. So I will hand over back to you, Kaltoum.
Thank you very much, Freya, for the informative session, and also for presenting the this important tool that have developed, that have used already by many countries from the MENA region. So we use the same for the quality assurance that we did for Morocco, for Lebanon, for Iraq, Jordan also, and Ruba will be sharing their experience on that. And also Saudi Arabia, they use it, but as a self-assessment tool, not for our quality assurance that we delivered to their BTR, but they did it for their own reports. I think I'm not, and of course for Mauritania. So we are right now working on the review of Mauritania's first BTR. So now I think we can open the floor for your questions, for any interaction, for the discussion. Please go ahead if you have any question for Merlin about the insights from the first submissions of BTRs in the MENA region, and also about the self-assessment tool. We can open the floor for 10 minutes maximum, and then we will go to the last session, the main one, which is the experience sharing. You can also, at the same time, write down your questions on the chat or in the Q&A. Okay, then thank you very much, Freya. I will just share again my screen. Okay, so this session is about the peer exchange on country insights, on BTR preparation challenges and good practices. It is designed to be interactive and practical, and we hope that all of us, all participants from other countries, get engaged in this discussion. So the idea is not only to present experiences, but also to create like a kind of space where countries can learn from one another, exchange openly, and also reflect on what worked well and what could be improved in future reporting cycle. So we are very pleased to have with us a representative from Oman, from Jordan and Tunisia. Here, as I mentioned already, we would like to hear from countries about the key challenges they faced during the preparation of their first BTRs, including challenges related to data collection, to coordination with other institutionals, technical reporting requirements, and the use of the reporting tables or the ATF reporting tools. And we will also discuss the good practices that helps countries move forward, such as early planning, strong institutional arrangements, internal review process, quality assurance and quality control, and also the use of the self-assessment tool. Another important point today, we will discuss how countries can ensure consistency between the narrative chapters and the information reported in the CTFs and CRTs, or the ATF reporting tools. And we hope that this exchange will provide, of course, a practical advice for countries that are still preparing their first BTR, or also those who are preparing for the second phase, which is the submission of the second BTR. So it's my pleasure to introduce you our speakers for this session. Thank you very much, First Ladies, for accepting our invitation. So we have from Oman, Ms. Maha Al-Balushi. She is the Director of Climate Mitigation Department at the Environment Authority. From Tunisia, we have Ms. Ons Khshin. She is the Technical Advisor on Mitigation at the UNDP Country Office in Tunisia. And from Jordan, we have Ms. Ruba Ajour. She's the Manager of the Climate Change Studies Division at the Royal Scientific Society. So thank you very much, ladies, for accepting our invitation and for being willing to share your country experience with the MENA Transparency Network. So first, I would like to start with Ruba. We just saw that Freya represented the self-assessment tool, the CBGSP assessment tool. So for you, and based on Jordan's experience, how important was it to conduct that self-assessment and quality control process before submitting the BTR, and how did this tool, specific tool, which is the CBGSP self-assessment tool, support the national team in identifying gaps, improving internal review, and also strengthening the overall quality and consistency of the reports. Over to you, Ruba.
First of all, thank you for having me, and hi everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. I guess it's a good afternoon in all countries. I'm happy to be with you, and I'm happy to share Jordan's experience. Regarding the tool, the assessment tool, I have to say that it's very friendly, it's very clear. It helped us in Jordan being consistent over all the chapters, as you said, Kaltoum, and it helped us in ensuring that our report is complete and that it aligns well with the MPGs. Also, it was a learning experience for us in terms of identifying what are the capacity building gaps and what we need to put more effort as a country into which areas specifically. Since the ETF and the BTR introduced some new areas that we are not familiar with, so identifying what is missed and how we can tackle those areas were very important to us in Jordan. Also, there were a very nice column there in the tool that identified what we need as a country in terms of capacity building. And this is one of the issues that we need to answer to the UNFCCC technical expert review. So we are, I think that we are ready to go there, and we are happy to say that. And it's very similar, and this assessment tool made us ready already for having this experience in future. One very important thing was that when we prepare normally the reports, it's intense, it has very much information, it's very long, so we might miss something. It is a draft, maybe 70 to 80% complete. So having other eye from outside as assurance, we can complete the missing parts, we can ensure that our report is consistent. Between chapters, we can make sure that we didn't miss anything. It is well presented. So all those things made us think and made us feel that our report is somehow maybe 90% ready to be presented and submitted. So it gave us more confidence in our report. Having external eye, as I said, is very important. Making us more maybe confident of our capacities as Jordan, and learning experience, not in terms of compliance, but in terms of identifying our needs and identifying our strength points as well. So that was our experience, and we are very grateful to have this experience in all chapters.
Thank you very
by the way.
much. Yeah, thank you very much, Ruba. It is actually, this gives us a very useful example of how the self-assessments and the internal review can support the BTR process before the submission, and also to help with the TOR process. So I think for now, let's move to Tunisia and hear more about the technical and methodological side of BTR preparation. Uns, thank you very much for being with us. We all know that Tunisia has a strong experience in transparency and climate reporting under the UNFCCC, and was among the countries in the region that reported information on time and also on projection in its first BTR. So it's written that you didn't use the much flexibilities. Based on your experience, what were the main technical or methodological challenges that you faced, particularly in relation with the data collection, projections, the reporting tables, and consistency across the different chapters. Also, how did Tunisia manage the preparation timeline and coordination process to submit the BTR before the deadline, which was the December 2024? Over to you, Ansen. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much, Kalthoum. It's really a pleasure to participate to this webinar, and thank you very much for the opportunity to present the Tunisian experience in the field of the evaluation of the first BTR. So maybe to start, Tunisia has built strong experience in transparency and climate reporting under the UNFCCC through the preparation of the national communication bureaus, NDCs, and more recently the first BTR. So although Tunisia has an established MRV framework and an institutional arrangement for green gas house inventory preparation, compiling updated sectoral and disaggregated data in line with the ETF requirements remained complex. So in some sectors, data availability was limited, fragmented across institutions, or not fully harmonized in terms of methodologies and reporting years. So concerning maybe regarding projects. So the starting point of the exercise of projection is the long-term national vision and alignment with Tunisia's carbon neutrality objective by 2050. So the vision is to move towards a more ambitious objective aimed at contributing to the achievement of carbon neutrality at the national level across all sectors by 2050, in line with the objectives of the Paris Agreement ratified by Tunisia and the Glasgow Climate Pact. A key step before initiating a projection exercise is also to conduct a detailed retrospective trend analysis to better understand historical development and underlying trends of emissions and GDP. So for the development of scenarios, it's also essential to establish a socio-economic baseline scenario that will serve as the foundation for all climate-related scenarios. This socio-economic scenario pathway provides the underlying assumptions on key drivers such as population growth, economic development, energy demand, industrial activity, and different structural change in the economy. So it ensures consistency across all climate scenarios by ensuring them in a coherent development trajectory. So we have the vision, the socio-economic scenario, and also Tunisia has a significant experience in the field of the simulation of energy demand. So in the energy sector specifically, the country has relied on the use of technico-economic modeling tools, notably in the preparation of the NDCs and the long-term low emission development strategy for the energy sector. So this modeling tool makes possible to simulate final energy demand and based on assumption related to the transformation sector, particularly electricity generation and demand, to estimate the primary energy consumption. So these outputs are then translated in GHG emission projection in accordance with IPCC methodologies. For the other sectors, also projections are developed through combination of methods, but focusing more on identified mitigation measures and actions. So several technical challenges were encountered during this projection exercise. One key challenge concerns the choice of the reference year, which is not necessarily the same as the inventory base year, particularly from modeling perspectives, since it corresponds to the year used to calibrate the model, so for the energy sector. Another challenge relates to the definition of the baseline or business as usual scenario, as well as the development of more ambitious scenarios. So this includes determining the content, level of ambition of each scenario, while ensuring consistency with national policies, strategies, and also the country development context. Another important aspect concerns the level of data disaggregations required for the modeling exercise. The need for detailed and sector-specific data is necessary to ensure credibility and accuracy of the projection results. So, brief, we retain vision, trend analysis, and retrospective tool for modeling and methodology, socioeconomic scenario, reference year, and the content and assumption of each scenario. So the WAM scenario, the WAM scenario, and the scenario with additional measures. So another also challenge encountered was the completion of the CTR and CTF tables of time and the complexity of the exercise. A key difficulty was how to effectively translate and extract outputs from the national GHG inventory system into the required reporting tables. Concerning the second question, in the preparation of this first BTR, so Tunisia has adopted a pragmatic approach by building on existing achievements and national experience. So particularly in the preparation of GHG inventories, as we do it in several times, and modeling exercises also use it to develop projections. So notably, as I said, with the framework of previous NDCs and LT-LEDs, we also placed strong emphasis on capacity building, particularly to strengthen understanding of the MPG requirements and the methodological approach applicable to each component of the BTR, so through the CBAT project. Also, furthermore, in the absence of an established methodology for tracking climate finance flows, so particularly regarding the definition of what constitutes climate finance. So Tunisia has faced significant challenges in carrying out this exercise. It's a complex process that requires national consensus on the definition of climate financial flows. So as well as the establishment of an institutional framework, which is necessary to centralize data given that such information is dispersed across multiple sectors and institutions. So for these reasons, for example, Tunisia has developed an initial list of eligible activities under the climate taxonomy framework, so to identify projects and activities related to mitigation and adaptation. We also launched two complementary initiatives, one on climate budgeting within the state budget framework, and another on the quantifying and tracking climate finance flows. So the results of these two studies are expected to strengthen data availability and quality, and to provide more robust foundation of the preparation of future BTRs. Also, another maybe important aspect is that information system across sectors are at different levels of development and maturity. So in this context, Tunisia has conducted a diagnostic assessment of the existing MOV system in the different sectors, as well as the existing CTR system serving as the central platform at the Ministry of Environment, who has the formal role to lead and coordinate action climate in Tunisia. The objective of this assessment was to analyze the level of compliance of these systems with the MPG's requirement across the several dimensions, including institutional, organizational and technical aspects. So based on this exercise, a roadmap was developed to identify improvement areas and definitions required for each component in order to progressively strengthen the national transparency system. At an institutional level, Tunisia has also worked on establishing a more formal governance framework by building on existing achievement and aligning with the requirement of the ETF. In this context, a climate law has been developed through a broad consultation process involving different sectors, relevant stakeholders concerned by climate action, and also the presidency of the government, with the aim of formalizing and strengthening the national climate governance framework. In parallel, also a decree governing the institutional and governance framework for the operationalization of Article 6 has also been developed and discussed with the relevant sector and stakeholders, as well as the presidency of government for formal adoption. So the objective is to establish a credible and transparent framework that can support the development of Article 6 carbon market in Tunisia and enhance climate investment and international cooperation opportunities. Also, maybe another aspect, technical aspect. Tunisia also has conducted a survey on biomass energy consumption in the tertiary sector. So the results of this survey enabled the updating of the national energy balance data and will also serve to contribute to the improvement of the future GHG inventory, as well as the emission projects. Thank you, and I hope that was helpful for you.
Thank you very much, Ons. Yes, for sure. For all of the countries, beside the numerous challenges that you faced, you made a lot of actions to improve the quality of the reporting and also to respect the deadline. Now, let me move to Maha. Maha Oman is now advancing in the preparation of your second BTR. And looking back to your first one, what were the main lessons learned that are now guiding the preparation of the second phase, and also in terms of planning, coordination, of data collection, the use of ATF reporting tools, also for your international check or review? What can you share with us? Meha, over to you.
Thank you, Kulthum, and thank you for you and your team for your continuous supporting and enhancing our capacity and ATF requirement. And good afternoon, everyone. So it's my pleasure actually to share Oman's experience in preparing the first BTR and the lesson learned for the preparing the second BTR for Oman. So for Oman, the BTR process, it's not only about a reporting exercise, actually. It's a learning process that helps us to understanding the national coordination and also the improvement of our data system. So from the first BTR process, the main lesson learned was the early planning, actually. because, as you know, that BTR is a cross-sectoral reports, so it's require an input from different entities, different governments and stakeholders. So in BTR2, we are starting the process earlier with a clear timeline, a clear rules and responsibilities for each entities and governments, and we are structure a communication with relevant sectors. We already initiate a national team which is only responsible for developing the BTRs and all international reporting under the UNFCCC. So they will be responsible to provide all data, all information that required to develop all UNFCCC reporting. And the second lesson was the importance of the institutional coordination. So during the first BTR, actually, we saw that data and information are available across different entities, but the main challenges is how to collect this information in a consistent manner, in a timely and transparent manner. So for BTR2, Oman is working to strengthen the coordination between Environment Authority and relevant ministries and national entities. And also related to data collection and data quality, first BTRs actually help us to identify where data is strong and where the gaps still exist. For example, some sectors had a good activity data, but other sectors like industry especially, they require additional verification, assumption, and improvement in documentation. So in BTR2, we are putting more focus to improve the data completeness and documentation methodology, strengthening the quality assurance and quality control, ensuring that data providers understand the reporting requirement and the ATF requirement. Another lesson was the need to move from the ad hoc data collection to more systematic national approach. In this regards, Oman has recently launched their national climate reporting platform, called it Munakh. This platform supports data collection from different national entities and will help to improve our transparency. Actually, Munakh will help us or will support us to prepare all requirements for international reporting under the UNFCCC, and it's fully aligned with the IPCC methodology and international requirement. So the platform actually for the BTR, it's designed to be aligned with all ATF reporting format and to support the presentation, the requirement or the preparation of the required CRT and the CTF tables. So the first BTR was very useful actually in helping our national team to understanding the structure of the technical requirement and the CRT and CTF tables requirement. And with Munakh platform, this process will be expected to become much easier and more efficient. So to conclude, overall, Oman experience was in the first BTR very valuable. It helped us to understand the technical and institutional requirement of the ATF and identify the national gaps. Let's say build a stronger foundation for the next BTR. And we are focused now to make the BTR2 more systematic and more national owned and more transparent.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Maha, for sharing this experience, and congratulations on Monarch platform. This is something that we need to share also in details with the MENA network. I know that some countries in the MENA region have a similar experience, like Tunisia. They have a strong MRV system. Also, Jordan, they're working on their MRV system. Egypt, Morocco, they have a strong one also, and Oman, this is very good. So we should think about arranging another events for that. Thanks, Meha, another one more time. And now for you, Ruba, you have a very good experience, and we can say an example in the MENA region. Why? Because Jordan's BTR was prepared and compiled primarily by the Royal Scientific Society and the national team from various ministries and institutions, in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment and also the other national stakeholders. So you didn't really rely on an external consultant to lead the drafting process, and this is very much appreciate. This is one of the most valuable approaches. Why? Because it helps actually strengthen national ownership and to build that long-term in-country capacity. So from your experience, how did national stakeholders and data providers support this process? And also, what role did your institutional arrangements play in enabling the national team to prepare, to review, and also to submit the BTR? Over to you, Rupa.
Thank you. I have to thank first the Ministry of Environment, the Climate Change Directorate, and our colleagues at the UNDP for having this approach all over the years. We have been following this approach since second national communication, maybe since 2006. And it proved to be practical. As you said, it helps with the ownership of the reporting. From the national stakeholders, from the national context, will help even the quality of the report, because we know the context, we know where the data is, we have good knowledge about where the good expert is, where the good quality data is. So this has helped in having a report that is reflective to our national context. And a very good example and a very good experience of having an institutional memory. So we are learning by time since 2009, and we have been learning, and especially within the greenhouse gas inventory area. And we have been involving as a country many experts from line ministries and from national institutions. So they are currently thought of as not just data providers, but as experts who are involved within even the development of the report and the development of the greenhouse gas inventory. So they feel ownership, and they feel that they have been building their capacities. They do have the knowledge. So we are working on our MRV system, as you said, and when we require or when we request data from those ministries and through the national focal points and through the national experts, they are familiar with what is the climate reporting and why we are asking for this data. And this is, we are halfway there. Having the data, having the right data, having access to the right data is very much important, and it's critical. So involving people and experts from all around the country, from different backgrounds, from different organizations and national entities is very important, because they are involved. They feel that the report is their own. They do have a very good idea why they do the effort. What is the transparency? So all those things are very, very critical on the long run, because the BTR, as you said, it's not just one time shot. It is BTR2, then every 5 years it's a cycle. So having the experience and having the capacities within the country, it helps the process, it helps the cycles for future, it helps building and strengthening the ETF framework in Jordan on the long run. Also, it's a very, very important point is that, as I said, the institutional memory. Having experts from outside Jordan is very important in terms of quality assurance. As you said, it's important in specific areas for specific capacity building issues, specific challenges. But having experts on the national level is for sustainability, for long-term reporting, and it's our task at the end of the day. And also having the national experts working on the report will help as well involving the private sector. As Ons said, we face, and as Maha said, we face so much maybe challenges in getting the information from the industry, for example. And in Jordan, maybe it's related to the private sector. So maybe we at the national level working on that report will make the data availability easier at some point. So we are all involved within this effort. They are aware why they do this. So the accountability, the reporting, the sustainability of reporting is strengthened all the way. And maybe one sign of how much it is successful, we have been following it since 2009, since national communication. So having an entity, national entity specialized in climate reporting would make the reporting on the long run easier, because we do have the experience. As Maha said, we learned from our maybe downfalls, we learned from our gaps, we learned from our mistakes, maybe. We know exactly, we identified exactly what is needed for capacity building. And each time we do the reporting, we identify an improvement plan for the future, and we identify it according to medium, short term, and long term. So we even provide for the government a long-term action plan for capacity building. So maybe this helps. This approach has been, I could say, successful in terms of having the experience within one entity and involving the national experts from different organizations and from different ministries. So this has been our experience, and it seems it is convenient, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we are continuing on this track.
100% true, but this is one of the good experiences in the MENA region. I know also that some countries are doing similar approaches, like for example Lebanon and also Bahrain. So they are working with their team. So this is very much appreciated, and this is actually what is building the sustainability of the transparency system, because as you just said, BTR is not only once, it's a full process, it's an improvement over time, it's cycle, and that it's very important to build that capacity, human capacities, and also to build that archiving system and MRV system for your data collection.
And continuity is key. Continuity is key. Not each time you need to start from scratch. You need to build on something. So maybe this approach, or having this case as in Jordan, helps us on the continuity part. We don't start each time from scratch. We build on something.
That's right. That's right. Thank you very much, Ruba. And now, Maha, for you, did you already used flexibility for your first BTR, and for your second one, are you planning to report on using the same flexibility provisions, or is there like in a kind of intention to provide more complete information without applying flexibilities in some areas? As it is mentioned, one of the most important principles of the ETF is improvement over time. Over to you, Maha.
Thank you, Kulthum. Yeah, actually, Oman, in the first BTR, we apply a number of flexibility actually available for the developing country under ETF and MBGs. This was mainly because the first BTR for Oman, and it's like a first full reporting experience under the ETF. So for sure, it's difficult to provide all details or information data required. And some areas still require further development under the data availability and institutional arrangement methodologies, and for sure the technical capacity. So the flexibility provision were mainly apply in three areas. The first one is the national greenhouse gas inventory. So Oman apply flexibility in areas such as the key categories analysis, uncertainty assessment, QA and QC implementation, the gas coverage, and the length of the time series. Second area, we apply the flexibility on mitigation policies, measures, and the projection. Flexibility was applied because Oman is still developing its national capacity and for detailed projection, especially, and estimating emission reduction from specific policies and measures. Because Oman just updated their net zero strategy, and it's announced just this week during the Sustainability Week in Oman, if you hear about it. And reporting a projection by sector and by gas, also we use this flexibility. In the first BTR, Oman provide what's available in information at that time, and some details such as the cost or non-GHT benefits, projected mitigation impact, and detailed projection methodology were not fully reported. Third, flexibility was the applied in relation to adaptation and let's say loss and damage information. This is the first time Oman they put like a section regarding the loss and damage, which is it's really advanced for Oman. And for adaptation parts and the mean of implementation, particularly in reporting detailed information on financial needs, technologies transfer, and capacity building support and receive. Oman provide partial information where available. Still, this let's say this section still need more improvement, and we are working on it to enhance it in the second BTR. So overall, the use of flexibility in BTR1 is not because we don't want to report a complete information. It's because that still some of that information is not available, or we cannot provide it in detail. And it helps us actually to identify our national system needs and the gaps. So looking ahead for the BTR2, Oman's direction is to reduce the use of flexibility where possible and provide more complete information, especially regarding the climate finance needs and more details about the GHG inventory gas coverage. So I think Monarch platform will play an important role for this improvement, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maha. This is very good to share, actually. And congratulations on submitting and presenting your net zero strategy or LTLS. This will enhance your mitigation and also adaptation actions for the to of course to achieve your climate ambition and your NDC. Now, Uns, I saw your hand is raised, but I want actually to ask you about your experience and what practical advice would you give to MENA countries that are still preparing or finalizing their first BTR, as well as to those who are just beginning the preparation of the second BTR. And have you already started the second BTR? In addition, what are the key actions the countries should prioritize early in this process to improve the quality, the coordination, and also the efficiency of their reporting? And of course, if you have any question for our speakers, please go ahead.
Thank you, Kalthum. The question is really the response and the idea that I wanted to add it. In fact, I think I want to stress on the fact that a strong understanding of methodologies helps determine the type, level, and granularity of data required. And this will help to guide the identification of data sources, institutional responsibilities, and collection process, and will improve the quality and consistency of reporting outputs. So early clarification of methodology approach is very important. Another also point that the GHG inventory is the foundation and serves as the backbone for tracking NDC implementation as well as for developing emission projections. So it helps and pushes to improve data quality and structure sectoral data in a more consistent and systematic way. So it's very important to give importance to this exercise. For Tunisia, yes, we just have started the preparation of the elaboration of the second BTR, and we have several points of and axes of amelioration to take into consideration in this exercise. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Kalthum, and it was very insightful.
Thank you very much, Uns, and congratulations on starting also your second BTR. Are you planning this time to report on loss and damage information?
Yes, we are discussing with the Ministry of Environment. Yes.
That's great. Thank you very much. And for Meha and for Ruba, in one sentence, what can you say, like the most important recommendation that you would give to other countries?
Can I start first?
Yeah, of course.
Planning is key. Planning beforehand is key, and having institutional arrangement in place, clear timeline, clear responsibilities will help a lot.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Thank you very much. And Maha, what could you say?
Thank you, Kalthum, for everything. what I can say that BTR process is not only a reporting exercise. This is a learning process. It will help our country to strengthen our national coordination and to improve our data system and track it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So thank you very much to our speakers. Thank you, Mahar, Ruba, and Uns. Thank you very much for Jordan, Tunisia, and Oman for being ones of the good members and active members in the Middle East and North Africa network. These actions highlighted the importance of self-assessment, the quality control, the strong institutional arrangements, having also a platform for sharing, for managing the data, and for improving the consistency of the information and creating that sustainability of your system. And now I would like to open the floor for other participants. If you have any questions for our speakers, please go ahead. Any questions, or maybe someone would like to share their experience? Yes, Nagla, your microphone is open. We can't hear you, Nagla. Okay. Then I think you can also write down your questions in the chat. Merlin, yes, please go ahead, Merlin.
Yeah, I was listening to the discussions from our the representatives of the three countries. I'm quite impressed at how much of work has been done and how the countries have found ways to identify challenges and find solutions to those challenges. So, that's quite impressive and something, for other countries to emulate. So I thank the countries for sharing that very valuable experiences. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Merlin. Thank you. So now I would just share my screen for the last session, which is the usual feedback. So please try to join us. I will start the presentation. You can either scan the QR code here, or you can also go to menti.com and then you can enter the code 580500. We have already 8 participants, 9. Join us. This is the last thing that we are going to do. And even if we are running a little bit over time, apologies for that. But discussions takes time, and we wanted to to take as much as we can from our speakers. Thank you very much. So here, could you please tell us from where are you joining us today? We have Istanbul, we have Morocco, Tunisia, Jordan, of course. Bonn, yes, of course. UK, Algeria, UK, Algeria, Bonn. For others, you can Tunisia, Istanbul, yes. join us, colleagues, and you can write down your country. All right, we have 12. On Tunisia, Denmark, of course. Okay. Let's move. Please indicate your gender. 50%. Okay. 5. That's almost like usually. Okay. Keep going, ladies. Was this event useful for your work? 8. Yes, thank you very much. We are glad to hear that. And just be try to respect the timeline and also to join us in our events after SBs, inshallah, after Bonn. So I think the last week of June we will have another webinar. And we're also planning for webinars, 3 webinars. It will be a webinar series on CBIT projects, how to implement the first one and also the second phase of the CBIT project. So we will have also some colleagues from Jeff who will give us guidance. And the webinar will be organized in collaboration with UNDP and UNEP, of course, as the enabling agencies that are leading the MENA region in this context. So what is the most useful takeaway that you will take from this webinar? Country experiences, yes. We have also ownership is a key, absolutely. Planning the BTR development process is key. Country experience, methodology, the diversity of practical tools, right? Relevant to be prepared for BTR2, common challenges and insightful solutions, country experiences. Thank you very much, guys, for attending this webinar. And now I would like to hand it over to our colleagues from Bonn. Baby Tugba, you are still with us? Would you like to say a few words?
Hi, Keltum. Yes, I'm still here, and I actually also just very informally, because I think this was a really nice, very, very insightful event. Thank you. And what I heard is also like lots of challenges, common challenges, but there are also solutions. And there was also a comment like that. I think that is very inspiring. And the most important thing I would like to recall again, is that this was just the first cycle of the ETF. So, and this is exactly the intrinsic principle of the ETF as well. So I hope we will learn together, and we will of course improve. But again, we have flexibilities, we have our own timelines, and we are also doing all we can with all the partners, with UCAT and with other partners as well, to be able to help and support countries in all these challenges they are facing. So I think the journey just started, and we will just take it and be better in the coming years, in the coming decades, perhaps. And exactly, we are looking forward to see you in Bonn very soon. With that, I pass the floor back to you, Keltum. And again, thank you very much for inviting us and having us with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tugba. Thank you for all of the colleagues from UNFCCC. You are just incredible in supporting us, in supporting the MENA region specifically, or in all our events. We are more than happy to have you. And thank you once again to Ons, to Ruba, and to Maha, and to all MENA region and countries. And have a nice Eid, by the way, because next week will be Eid holiday. So enjoy your holiday, and also see you after Bonn in our upcoming webinar, inshallah. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Sibushan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Si Sharif. Thank you.